I mean, we need a new rating system for all of them books. But today I am talking about non-fiction books specifically. Hi, I'm Claire. I like some books, but I learned from all of them. Today I want to rant about some non-fiction books that have great ideas in them, or concepts, or tips, whatever, but are written so poorly that I'm hesitant to recommend them or rate them. Of course, I'll tell you how I deal with both the recommending and the rating thing. But first, I need to give you some examples so you know what I'm talking about. And that's why I have my little notebook here, remembering names of books you've read. Who does that? We will start off strongly, maybe even controversially, by saying that the following two books have one flaw in common. Come As You Are, The Surprising New Science That Will Transform Your Sex Life by Emily Nagoski, and The New Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. They're both a mouthful. The topics have nothing to do with each other. The concepts that the books explore are very important, each in its very own unique way. Like, I would literally put the stuff from these books into mandatory school education. Not sure where I would fit it in, but it should be somewhere in there. So I am very glad that I have read these books. But whew, are these books repetitive? And I mean, like, on several occasions while reading both of them, I was convinced that I had already read the exact same paragraph like 2 pages earlier. That is unacceptable to me. The Come As You Are book does have at the end of each chapter a TLDR section, which I actually think is an amazing thing to do in nonfiction books, because it lets you either review the chapter very quickly, or if you want to pitch the book to somebody, those would be the things you would read out loud or give them to read. So I love the concept. I wish it was featured in more books. However, those parts are repetitive in their nature of what they are. But even if you took all of them out, the book would still be repetitive. And I mean, ugh. While I still have the Come As You Are book on here, I also want to mention that the audio form of this book is read by the author herself. And I don't want to say that she is doing a bad job of it. She's not like a bad narrator. She's just so much. She's reading every sentence like it's the last sentence she will ever read. And I found it to be extremely annoying. And I could never listen to more than half an hour of the book. Between the repetitiveness and the over-the-top delivery, I was having enough. Another type of thing that I very much dislike in nonfiction books is when they don't appear to know who they are for. As an example, I have a German book, Bilderbuch-Illustration, by Bärbel, which is about how to illustrate a children's book. And once again, I would say that this book has a lot of relevant information if you are trying to create an illustrated book. However, this book has no idea who the intended reader is. Is it an artist that needs to figure out how to create a story to fit with the art that they are trying to create? Or is it for a writer that wants to learn how to draw in order to bring their books to life? Or is it for somebody who has no idea about any of that? Or is it maybe for somebody who has already done a couple of illustrated books? After having read it, I have no idea, because this includes both how to sketch out the whole book. It has a tiny bit of how to draw very beginner type of things, but then also some very advanced things. It has almost nothing on how to write the story, but it does talk about the history of books and how you have to adapt the story to fit the audience, which is doubly funny because this book did not do that. An example of the idea is fine, the science you did is fine. Why would you mess that up with your own personal opinions? Why are you putting them in the book next to your scientific work? I don't get it. I've stumbled upon this in The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion, by Jonathan Haidt. Again, one of these concepts that I think should be included in primary school, maybe secondary. But there were chapters of this book that were, I'm going to say, hard to read, because they consisted of the author's political moanings about the current political situation. And I didn't really care about that because I was reading on what he had researched about the morality around the world. Fascinating topic. I don't know why these few chapters were in there. And as the last example of what can go wrong in a nonfiction book, I'm going to give you the Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. I enjoyed this book. It's very easy to read, but it basically has this one idea that everything is figureoutable. No matter the problem you have, you can figure out a solution to it. Amazing. I want everybody to have that attitude towards life. But this book tries to stretch that concept into a whole book, where I think a blog post would be enough. And also the book has more endings than Lord of the Rings, but it's fine. Now that we all know the problem, here's how I think we should fix it. I think this would apply to more genres of books, but for nonfiction books specifically, I think we should rate them on 2 scales. I think more scales would be more accurate, but I think that with 2 you get double the information that you get right now, which is where you only rate the book as a whole, but don't have the added complexity of having like 5 things to review, which you might not even know what those are. So what I would like to happen magically in the world is that you can rate a nonfiction book by the quality of its content and the quality of the writing. Of course, personal taste is going to come in here, and also if you don't believe in the idea, you could downvote it, but you would do that anyway. So it is an issue, but it's not one I'm addressing here. To take the example of the first book that I mentioned, Come As You Are, I would rate the content of the book 5 stars, easily. Don't even need to think about that. However, the writing part, I would rate 3 stars, maybe even 2. And that's how you, if you would take this book up, would know that you are in for a tough read, but that you are going to learn a lot and that it is worth it. This is also not that new of a concept, but that actually makes me even more be like, so why are we not doing this already? On Audible, when you rate a book, you can give it an overall rating, but then you also have the performance and the structure rating as well. So listeners can judge by themselves if maybe the book is for them, but the narrator isn't, or the other way around. What do you think? Would this at least partially solve the problem? I think it would. It's not the end-all be-all, but I can say that it would help me personally a lot. Until the next time you click on one of my videos, bye-bye. And how many ratings would we need for a fiction book to rate it somewhat accurately? I mean, the most obvious one would have to be like how much you like the author.